Good afternoon. We're live. Welcome to the May Finance Committee for the FM Diversion Authority. First order of business is a roll call.
Mr. Montplaisir, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Costin, Mr. Haney.
Here.
Ms. McCall. Here. Mr. Jacobson.
Here.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Here.
Mr. Steen.
Here.
Mr. Gehrig. Mr. Redlinger.
Here.
Dr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Grinberg.
Here.
Are we missing a vacation somewhere? Where is everybody?
Next, we'll seek a motion for approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, pages 2 through 6.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll take the roll, or we do a voice vote on that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Pages 16, or 7 through 15, rather. Number 3, approval of the bills. Is there a motion from someone to spend some money, or approve spending money?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
That we take a roll call on, right?
Yep.
Any discussion? See anybody jumping at the podium to explain anything, so we'll take the roll.
Mr. Haney.
Aye.
Ms. McCall. Aye. Mr. Jacobson. Mr. Hendrickson.
Aye.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Grinberg.
Aye. Thank you. In the absence of Mr. Costin, who has the financial report?
Just looking for Mike.
He's out of town.
Mike's also out of town. Okay.
Did Mike?
Well, let's take a
Guess,
look.
I'd be happy to walk through it,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. So
Redlinger.
starting on page 16 is the standard report that you see on a monthly basis. I don't have any notes from Kent or Mike to draw any attention to highlights here. Page 17, again, your net position statement. This is current as of April 30. And then following that, on page 18 is the summary budget report with all of our revenue sources, as well as the appropriation of funds and expenditures to date. So,
Mr. Redlinger, if I may, I have a question.
Mr. Steen, turn your mic on, please.
On page 18, just a
Your
curious.
mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's on. Page 18, just a curious question. I'm looking at the budget that we just approved last meeting for the year. And I'm looking at program management. We have an approved budget of $11,154,000. And we've got outstanding encumbrances of 23 million, leaving us a remaining budget balance already, less than 1 month into our budget of a shortfall of 14 million. Help me understand where we're at with that.
yeah, I'd be happy to, and I see Kim has joined us at the podium as well. I believe that this might have to do with the timing and coding of some of the expenditures and some of the other task order amendments, but Kim, I'll defer to you on the specific.
All right, so, I'm sorry, Rick, you were looking at the fiscal year 2019
Page
budget?
18,
Page 18.
All right, so
Program
I don't have the report with me, but let me throw it up here. So this is what we would be reporting against, right?
no, this is from the city, I think, but I'm not sure who puts this up. Page 8, you have 18 on the,
All right, the 2019 approved budget. All right.
the question was, we just approved this budget for 11,154,000 for program management. And looking at the first report out after the approval, we're already have a negative or deficit balance in the budget report of 14,146,000. So just curious as to how that all works together.
I'm going to have to look at this in a little bit of detail and then get back to you. Okay?
Next meeting would be just fine, I guess. but-
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, I would,
or Kevin, or.
right, I agree. I think that this is a pretty easy explanation that Kent and Mike can clarify, because then I noticed too, on their percent expended, they're only at 17%. So I think there's some consistency in the numbers here and in the report timing that likely explain your question, but let's do that. We'll get with Kent and Mike.
We get a full explanation tomorrow then? Finance
Here you are,
report
right here.
added at the full DA meeting tomorrow?
It'd be nice to have that tomorrow, yes.
I agree.
Yeah, let's not put it off a month. Let's answer it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Probably a simple answer.
So are we going to get that information before the meeting or during? Can we get it before the meeting?
Sure.
Okay. Just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Additional questions?
It might be nice to go ahead and give information for the other two items that are also overdrawn or overspent,
Okay.
that are in that same position, so that you understand why there's an encumbrance that's causing the overage in the budget already.
That's good.
So and accept the motion with those notes that there will be further explanation tomorrow.
I'll make the motion to do just that, and Kent will be traveling back tonight as well, and I just recalled that, so I'll get with him tomorrow morning as well with Kim. We'll ask that question.
Christine?
Mr. Chair, I think, I'm guessing this is going to be something to do with, well, this is the project budget versus the cash budget, and.
I think that's
I'm
the
just-
case.
But I don't understand it, so,
You bet.
all right, thanks.
Did we get a second?
Second.
Second, was moved and seconded. Further discussion? Chuck, you have a question?
No, I'm just.
Hearing none, we'll take the roll.
Mr. Haney?
Aye.
Ms. McCall?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson?
Aye.
Mr. Steen?
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger?
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg?
Aye. Kim, you have 5?
Yes. Yep, so the PMC, I'll start at the beginning here. The PMC financial report, the overall program status. Based on the 2018 dollars, the overall program budget of 2.75 billion, actual expenditure to date as of April 30th is about $472 million, with a remaining program budget of about $2.3 billion. And on the slides we have, included in the packet, we have the backup for those. And then against the fiscal year 2019 cash budget, the approved $162.7 million paid to date as of April 30th, about $18 million, leaving a remaining budget for fiscal year 2019 of $144,650,000.
Questions?
And then we have the backup for that included in the packet as well.
Hearing none, we'll accept the motion.
The year-to-date, excuse me, year-to-date for what the other report is we were looking at earlier from the city, the fiscal year-to-date has an amount that is not the same as your actual cost to date? Is there, do you know what the differences are by any chance, or you don't know what?
I would have to defer to Kent on that,
Okay.
so, and I will get back, we'll communicate with him before tomorrow, so we
Okay.
can get an
That's fine.
explanation for that.
Thank you.
Rick?
I'm good.
Okay.
I was going to make a motion to approve the
A
report.
second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the roll.
Mr. Haney?
Aye.
Ms. McCall?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson? Mr. Steen?
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger?
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney?
Aye.
Mr. Grimberg?
Aye. Contracting actions.
So I will assist with item 6A. These are two items that are on the agenda for today. The first is just an amendment number 4 to the PMC task order. This is for an extension of about 5 weeks of service as we continue negotiations with the PMC on the new successor, task order 5. And so that is in the amount of $775,000 that will extend our interim services through June 28. And then we also have a work package 50A, which is a property structure mitigation demo package that was Schmidt and Sons for the demo and relocation of 8 homes in the areas around Cass County, including the diversion channel outlet west of West Fargo and in and around the southern embankment and the staging areas.
Mayor Mahoney?
Just on the task order, the PMC task order, eventually we're going to have the P3 bid. Is that in the task order amendment 4, or is that the next one coming?
There will be a task order 6 that will contain the P3 services, and task order 5 will be your core program management services and will be the successor to task order 2. So this is amendment number 4, and we ask for the committee's consideration of this today.
And then at some point, are we going to convert all our stuff to, it's a different company now, right? Jacobs rather than CH Jim 2 Hill, or are we going to continue that accounting that way?
I believe the way that the company is merged and operate, it is CH2M, a division of Jacobs, correct? You will continue to see CH2 referenced in the bills and the materials as Jacobs is the parent organization. Am I stating that correct, Martin? And Kim?
Yeah, that's correct. They're a wholly owned subsidiary
Wholly
at
owned
this
subsidiary.
point. Yeah. So now they could novate the contract if you wanted to do that.
Further questions?
So you just need approval of this? Move to
Yep, we would
approve.
take both items under 6A with a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Questions? Hearing none, we'll take the roll.
Mr. Haney?
Aye.
Ms. McCall?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson?
Aye.
Mr. Steen?
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger?
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney?
Aye.
Mr. Grimberg?
Aye. Informational, 6B and C.
Yep. So first, for co-executive director approved contract actions for information only, task order 13, amendment 20. This is for HMG levy design and design support. It's a net zero contract action or amendment. It's a reallocation of funds. And then also there was task order 23, amendment 2 to work package 43. That's the pump station project near Oxbow. That is for a change order or an amendment, task order amendment for $148,367. That's adding scope and budget and extending the period of performance. There is, on this one, there is a meeting with the contractor on Friday to discuss reimbursement for some of the services performed by the Diversion Authority team, or services rendered by the Diversion Authority team on this. And then work package 42E, change order number 22. This is 35, or change order number 2. This is a $35,000 deduct for the 2nd Street South and Main Avenue flood control. This is a reduction in scope and minor project modifications, particularly due to the interface of that project with the Main Avenue reconstruction project.
Questions? Maybe a comment on this management of the project and our various lines in the budget. This all would fit into our forecasting, and we redid the $2.75 billion estimate. That these type of activities, you know, recognizing they're small in nature, but are all
Yep.
part of the overall.
Yep, absolutely.
Probably going to get that question a lot as we get into thicker things here.
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the roll.
Those are for information only
Yeah,
items?
that's right, yeah. Scratch that motion and second and comment. Eric, you're next.
All right.
We're so used to just getting.
I tried to move you along.
Good afternoon. Item 7A and 7B, I'll be happy to cover those. Item 7A,
I think he needs this one. Cass County?
Yes.
Did you want to
Oh.
cover this one here?
If there is an additional.
This is all, so.
Oh, I thought
for-
you had them both. I'm sorry, you see, you got to do C yet? Okay.
Okay, all right, so this would be really quick. So I thought you called Eric up because these are pretty much land items.
Sorry.
So this is the Cass County Joint Water Resource District. There were, as you can see it by the list here, appraisal package amendments and an amendment for land acquisition services for ProSource. That was it?
Thank you.
Sure.
We feel we have a good balance of appraisal firms?
we do. Yeah, they're working hard and we're getting appraisals turned in and reviews and, yeah, it's going well.
All right, now we'll go to 7.
Okay, in your packet here, you'll have item 7A is the property status report. Last month, there was a request for us to include that full report in your packet. This is a report that we produce on a monthly basis for the joint board as well as the land management committee, and we're certainly happy to share it with this group, and I believe it's in the diversion board packet as well. Provides you kind of a status of where things are at with acquisitions, I would turn your attention to page 55, which is the overall map showing the overall status for all of the impacted parcels. You'll notice that there's a growing number of green shaded squares along the diversion channel. Green is good, that means we've acquired those. There's also a whole raft of tan-colored parcels along the southern portion of the channel. That means we're working on appraisals for those. And by the end of June, we anticipate all of those appraisals to be completed, and we'll be making offers which will flip the color from tan to blue, which means we'll be in negotiations and hopefully eventually to green. So we're making progress there. And I guess the rest of it's some more detail. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any, but I wanted to just hit those high points.
Rick? Yeah, just a quick question, Eric. On the map on 55, on the western edge there, you've got the items in tan or gold, whatever, that are appraisal pending. Then you've got that whole line of parcels down on the left-hand side that are impacted parcels. How are they impacted?
There's a, what's called a mobility improvement along that road. And so basically it's a skinny road today, and because we're cutting off east-west traffic, we're gonna widen that road so that people can have a better path to go north-south up to the Raymond interchange. And so we do need to get some small strip takings along either side of that existing roadway, and so that is why those parcels are identified as impacted.
Continue.
Is this also included in the discussion with regard to kind of a, I don't know what you call them, basically a roadie around the city if you're going from east to west and you're talking about maybe a loop around the city?
I think the widening that we're proposing for this project is much smaller scope than an eventual bypass, although this could be the ultimate route for such a bypass at some point in the future, but there.
This would be the same path though, basically.
I think it could be, and Jason Benson maybe would have more details about that, but yeah, there could be.
It goes to Kindred, it's gonna go around to the Kindred Road, whatever that road is, that goes straight south to Kindred, so isn't it further over?
So I think it's
west?
further, I think it's further west than
Yeah.
this, but not too far further west.
Okay.
I'll move on to 7B unless there's anything else.
More questions?
Okay, 7B, also in your packet, starting on page 63, is an updated proposal from NDSU Agribusiness and Applied Economics Department to update the ag impact study. The Diversion Authority originally contracted with NDSU Ag Department back in, I think it was 2014, and they completed the first phase of this ag impact study several years ago. The study really looked at, is there a risk to delaying planting, and if so, is there a financial risk to the producers? Originally, the NDSU group did a real nice job studying that analysis, produced a nice thick report. Since that time, of course, the project has changed. We've got Plan B now on us. We have new hydrology, new hydraulic model, and we need to update that NDSU study to reflect today's project. The update of this study will be used not only for informing the agricultural industry in the region, but also informing our appraisers as to the value of flowage easements. Now that the hydraulic model has been submitted to FEMA for their review, we feel the time is right for us to contract with NDSU for an extension of their contract and an update of the study. You'll see on page 69 that their proposed cost is $112,000 and change. This is within the authorities of our executive directors, and I believe they're prepared to sign this, but we did want to bring this forward not only to the Land Committee, which just discussed it, but also here to the Finance Committee, and make sure you guys are okay and aware of this before our exec directors move forward.
Comments, questions? My only comment would be the F&A rate, or the 45% indirect, is typically for large federal contracts that the university uses as an income source. So the comment I'd make is I bet if we went back and asked them to waive the 45%. With other North Dakota funding, there is no allowance for indirect cost recovery. And given the nature of this as a local project, you know, if you feel comfortable, co-directors, to have that discussion, I suggest, but if not, that's fine too. But it's typical that they don't charge, this legislature doesn't allow indirect cost recovery for state funds for the university.
The only comment I would add, right or wrong, this is consistent with what we've done on previous amendments. This will end up being amendment, I believe it's Amendment 4 to their original contract. And so this is consistent, not to make, I'm not suggesting that it's right, but it is consistent with what we have done.
So noted. There a motion, or do we need a motion? No.
I think it'd be good for a little bit, Robert and Mike, they'd probably appreciate their cover if you guys approve this.
But I don't think it'd be good, because if they're allowed to do it anyway, Eric, I don't know that we should, because then you're going to be picking stuff to bring to us, and if they're authorized to do it, do it.
Okay,
And we're informed, we know what's going on, but I'd rather, whatever we have to do as finance, I'd like us to do. But
Consistency is good.
works for me.
And let me just say, Mr. Chair, thank you for the time to do this, because I think that this has been one of these engagements that's gone on for a lot of years, and I know there's been a variety of elected officials that have been in and out of their study work previously, so appreciate the opportunity to brief it here and at Land Management. We'll be happy to get this executed. It is important work. I had the question just about, at a staff level, is this going to be it, and are we going to be done studying the issue? And I think this is going to be the final chapter of what we need to do on the study work. So I do think that we are nearing the end of this. That was a question I had, that we've spent a lot of time and effort, you know, with this group to get this right. And just want to make sure that we wrap it up, because I think it is one that they're the right firm or the right entity to do it, but we do need to see the final product. So I'm supportive, just we need to get it wrapped.
just a question is, we've had these reports before. On the bottom line, how much impact is it to the farmer, late delayed spring planting? Is it less than we had thought? I mean, it seems to be every time NDSU comes back, they appear they still will be able to plant, may have to do different varieties or something. Is that what the major issues are?
Yeah, so the original study was based on Plan A. If you recall, Plan A was going to operate basically once every 10 years. And now with Plan B, we're talking once every 20 years. And so that impact to farmers of delayed planting is significantly lower than it was with Plan A. The findings from their original study on an annualized basis really were very, very minor impacts to the ag producers. Now, there was a chance, of course, that some flood event may cause a delay in planting, and that 1 year could be troubling, but averaged out, you know, the expectation, as their study showed the first go-round, was really pretty minor.
So if I had 1,000 acres and I'm going to be impacted once every 20 years, is there a price to that yet, or have we not determined that?
So the findings of this NDSU study will be used by our appraisal team to value the flowage easements. And so that's one of the other reasons why we need to have the study updated, so that our flowage easements can, you know, we can proceed with getting those valued. Which that will likely be a contract that we'll be bringing forward in the next month or so as well.
Contract
For appraisal services for flowage easements.
one of these.
Currently, that contract is held by the Diversion Authority, and so we have a little bit of mechanics to work out, whether it continues to be held here or if it's by the joint board. So
Either way, we pay for it.
that's correct.
Mr. Chairman, will that come out of Finance Committee or Land Management?
The appraisal work?
No, the flowage easement pricing.
Well, the contract, currently, the contract with Crown Appraisals is held by the Diversion Authority for flowage easement Phase 1. As we look to start Phase 2, we've been anticipating that that would also be held by the Diversion Authority. But I do need to talk with our attorney team to figure out if that's still the right approach. So we'll be bringing that forward in the future. No action today.
Okay, Mr. Shockley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Finance Committee. Before you, you have consent to have the City of Fargo and Cass County renew their loans with Wells Fargo. You may recall that the Cass County has currently a loan with Wells Fargo for a temporary financing in the amount of $100 million. That full amount has been drawn down by Cass County, and the city of Fargo currently has a loan total value of $100 million with only $50,250,000 drawn down of that, with the remaining amount that's left that could be drawn for temporary financing. These loans are in place to allow cash flow for the project for temporary financing purposes. The joint powers agreement that created the diversion authority requires the diversion authority to consent to the issuance of debt by member entities for the project. Both Cass County and Fargo have approved the issuance, acceptance of the term sheets and authorized proceeding with the issuance of the renewal of the loans. Formal documents will come back to this board and the diversion authority as they will with the Cass County Commission and Fargo City Commission. This is just accepting the terms and authorizing us to move forward with renewal of the financing. The rates were a little better than last time. They're still higher than when we first started because of the rising interest rates in the market, but overall, pretty good rates.
So we need a motion to recommend diversion authority approve.
Correct.
Mayor?
Move to approve.
Second.
With a question. Jana, when you have, so we're carrying the loan amounts with the bank of how much right now total?
City of Fargo is $50,250,000. Cass County is $100 million, so that'd be a total of $150 million.
When do we take any of the money we have, like the 83 million? When do we back pay it, or is this just going to sit there until we get through the project?
Well, that is a question that we're working out on the financial plan as we get to a very granular level over the next 90 days of when to start switching.
So our
out.
advisors will direct us on that? Okay,
Correct.
just a question.
It's definitely something that's under review, along with what type of financing packages we're going to be looking to obtain during the course of the construction.
Further questions? Hearing none, we'll take the roll.
Mr. Haney?
Aye.
Ms. McCall?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson?
Aye.
Mr. Steen?
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger?
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney?
Aye.
Mr. Grimberg?
Aye. Other business?
Just a question, is that we've delayed a little bit on the task order 5-6 or whatever. Is that going to delay the P3 in any way as far as getting that moving along, or do we anticipate the next 30 days getting that solution?
Stay tuned. That'll be my answer. We don't have an answer on that directly here today. It won't delay the P3, but whether it's resolved in 30 days is yet to be determined.
Okay. But eventually now, John, we're going to do the P3. We're going to send it to P3 bidders sometime in the next 6 months. That's going to happen, or how long does it take them to get a bid back?
Yeah, so consistent with the kind of overall plan with the diversion authority, the goal is to obtain bids from the P3 contractors in 2020. With that, we intend to recommence the P3 procurement later this year. And so task order 6 and the timing on that is a priority. Whether it is done in the next 30 days or in part of June or the very early part of July, we can work around those, but I wouldn't recommend any further delay beyond that so that we can stay on schedule.
Okay. We want to get that bid, so you're working on it, Tony, right? Thanks.
And we very much have to smell diesel before we go back to the 2021 legislature. Diesel coming out the smokestack, not diesel in a can.
And can I ask on the Minnesota legislative body, what's happened on the bills for funding? This budget issue they kind of went through, have you guys heard?
I heard they're going to have a special session, so it's kind of stalled right now. But that's all I've heard. Is that right, John?
That could start right away.
Yeah.
So there's a bill in there for some funding, or?
Bonding bill stalled right now.
Oh, okay.
It's still in limbo,
Yeah.
and there was 35, right? Is that the number they had in that bill, 35, that Senator Eakin had introduced that was melded into the bill?
35?
I think so.
Yeah.
Or was it 45?
It was part of the 86, or, yeah.
86 or 87 million.
But I think they have a special session scheduled. I think it's going to take effect right away, so, but yeah, from what I know, it's stalled right now, so.
When you guys hear back, can you just tell the guys so they put it on our schedule next time?
Yep, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
This meeting's June 26th? Yes.
For the next meeting?
Next meeting?
Yep.
Your motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Motion carries. We are adjourned.